Hey everybody, this is Monson Steed, and you are watching Health IQ, where we bring to you some of the most dynamic professionals who are truly bringing health information to our community, trusted sources, and creating dynamic programming to change the health outcomes in our community. Maternal mortality is an issue, and we need to understand it better. We need to be able to know those practitioners who are committed to raising the bar and the standards for care and removing the distance from great health care and better outcomes and making sure that maternal morbidity and mortality are something that we erase and reduce the rates inside the Black community that affect both, particularly the Black woman and the brown woman. I am so proud to bring to you Dr. Gilliam. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm amazing. It's amazing. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, if you would just share how maternal mortality showed up on your radar and what prompted you and this phenomenal institution to say there's a movement that we need to be a part of and start there.
Absolutely. So yeah, maternal mortality, the rates that we hear now about Black women being 3 to 4 times more likely to die from childbirth compared to white women, that statistic isn't new, but there is now a lot of media coverage around it. I would say personally, I didn't have anyone in my family who died from childbirth, but I did have people in my family who suffered from childbirth complications and also some pregnancy issues. And because of that, that is what prompted my interest in the area to do some research around maternal and child health. So when I came to Spelman about 2 years ago, I was telling my students, like, hi, I'm Dr. Gilliam. I am interested in this type of work, maternal and child health, maternal mental health, the whole just reproductive process in general. And my students were like, wait, we know a little bit about it, but we don't know too much about it. And as I started to immerse myself in the classroom in the research setting and building out my research at Spelman College, my students began to cultivate an interest in this work. And some of them already also just came to Spelman interested because they heard of these statistics. And we can talk about it a little bit later, but our students at Spelman feel that there's some type of social responsibility in the things that they do. Our motto at Spelman is a choice to change the world, and they hold that heavy to their heart. And they feel like what happens to one Black woman happens to another, and they really want to make a difference.
You know, it's beautiful when you think about that the environmental health science department at Spelman College, and you've now come up with this huge supernova research. Why is research important for those who don't know, and research in particular that Black women are leading for our community?
Absolutely. Research, I like to see it as a way to tell stories to the academic community. It's a way for us to bring about voice for people who are in our communities and people who are impacted by these health issues to the academic community. Things feel a little siloed. So we have our people who are out working in the community, so our nonprofits, community-based organizations, and then we have our academic institutions, our researchers, our teachers, our medical providers. And sometimes things feel siloed. It doesn't feel like we're all together. And so one of my goals is to bridge that gap between community and academia. And so it's very important for number one, for Black women to conduct research and be the face of research so that we can instill some type of trust into our communities. A lot of people do not trust research due to the historical injustices that we've seen, specifically with the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. And so a lot of people, when they hear research, they're like, oh, that's scary. And so with our faces being within the community and also doing research, it instills some type of trust into the community, and it also helps us gather that data and those stories that we can relay back to our other academic institutions and partners so that they can know what can be priority when it comes to funding research, when it comes to funding communities, and then also how we can communicate our findings also to each other in the community.
Maternal mortality, you guys have created a new approach. Can you share what and how the Spelman College and this phenomenal Dr. Gilliam is bringing to us?
Yes. So at Spelman College, we are, I would say, uniquely positioned to cultivate leaders because we are a Black women's college, historically Black women's college, because these leaders can understand the science behind maternal and child health. And they can also understand the lived experience of marginalized communities. And so at Spelman College, we created a course, and the first of its kind. It is called Foundations of Maternal and Child Health, Prioritizing the Black Body. And so, what made this a bit unique is number one, it's the first course of its kind at Spelman, and it is designed to introduce students to maternal and child health through the lens of health equity, advocacy, and also community engagement. Another thing that makes this unique is that this course was created in collaboration with our students. And so our students had a voice in what they wanted to learn. We had a community dialogue. So we had students come in, eat some pizza, and talk to us about what they wanted to see in this course. And then they also took some surveys. We incentivized them. We gave them gift cards for coming out and lending their voices to us. And from there, I selected some teaching assistants, 5 teaching assistants: Chelsea Tamara Benton, Michelle Washington, Naya Borns, Talia Ford, and Jasha Williams. And these students are health science students, comparative women's studies students, political science. So this just shows like the broad interest of our students. We have students who were math majors come and say they had an interest in maternal and child health, computer science majors. So there is a need for this. And our students created this course. They did the syllabus. They picked out, we have a book club. They picked out the book Killing the Black Body by Dorothy Roberts. They picked out the readings. They created the assessments. The students had a hand in every single piece of the process of creating the course. And with that, they were able to have some type of agency over their education and to know that they can also have a say in what they want to learn. And so, at a time where we know that Black maternal mortality is this national crisis, it is critical that our students, who are future public health leaders, politicians, clinicians, are prepared to be able to address these issues and also be able to say that they had a say in that preparation.
Thank you for that, and congratulations on this wonderful program. But for you as a researcher and a doctor with this phenomenal PhD, what does it feel like when you are able to pour into future generations that can now improve the health for our community?
It's so empowering, it's fulfilling. I always tell them that they're the reason, my students, I always tell them that they're the reason why I keep going every single day. If there's a time where I just feel like I'm not motivated, where things are feeling too heavy, we know that there is an attack on public health right now. And there's also an attack, which also means that there will be an attack on maternal and child health and the initiatives around that. Things do feel just a bit heavy and a bit scary, but I think about my students. And I can't, and there's also times where I just want to not look at things or to remove myself, but I can't do that because I have these students who I have to show up for every single day. And so, yeah, it's just empowering to be able to empower them.
Looking out into the audience and thinking about the role that Black women healers are playing right now, and the fact that you've created a curriculum that will create this small army of young women who now have created this curriculum for the institution. What do we know that in choosing a book and them being able to really create their own pathway. What does this mean for future Spelman students, knowing that now you've had a opportunity to create a curriculum created by young Black women, some in advance of even becoming a mother, but preparing their minds and hearts and souls for making this and healing the community through such a course?
Yeah, it's my hope for future Spelman students for them to know that when they come to Spelman, that they have a voice. And through the preparation of this class of students who are ready to advocate, who are ready to research, who are ready to lead, for them to know that the world urgently needs their voice as well. And so, yes, it's definitely my hope that our future students come in and they know that Spelman is an institution where you have autonomy and you have agency over your education. And we see you, we hear you, and we are here to empower you to be a change.
Great. Last question for Phenomenal. When you were getting ready to give your commencement speech and you're giving it to all of the women one day at Spelman, what would you challenge them to do moving forward as it relates to changing the world and the health of women around the world, particularly Black women?
Wow, that's a good one. And I would have to think about that a little bit more. But the first thing that's coming to like at the top of my head is that I want to challenge them to be okay with change and to be okay to pivot because we all like to have our plan. We all like to follow our plans, especially as being Black women who want to have control over our lives and how we move forward. But I want my students to know that it's okay to change and it's okay to pivot. A lot of our students, they come in with this idea that they want to be a doctor or be an OBGYN or go into law, but then they come to Spelman and they're exposed to many different types of careers and areas of interest. And they're like, wait, I have to change because I want to change and it's scary, but it's okay to change. Another thing to also think about is that you may have to change because of things that are happening that's outside of your control. So whoever may be in the presidential office, that 4 years while you're at Spelman, you may have to start thinking about your career and what that may look like and how you would need to move forward to be able to keep going and keep the community at the forefront, regardless of what's going on. So being okay with change, I would say.
Well, I'm really proud of you and loved your insight, your ability to create inside such an amazing institution, the Spelman College, and obviously the Dr. Gilliam coming together, collaborating with our students to heal our community, the world, and future leaders. I'm Munson Steed. This is Health IQ. Thank you so much, Dr. Gilliam, and for Spelman College for making a difference in maternal health and the mental health of our entire community. Thank you.